Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm Megan, and I'm joined by Ivana.
Hi, guys.
And we are here today to go over all things 2 Bright Lights and give you some tips and tricks of how to create the best submissions possible, because we want you to be successful in getting published as many times as you can this year and next year, and so on and so on. So before we get started, I wanted to give everybody the opportunity to share where they're joining us from. So we are actually based in New York, so we'd love to hear where you are based. And we'll give it just a couple more seconds before we kick things off. But it's finally fall in New England, I think. Even though I guess we're technically not in New England. I woke up in New England this morning, so maybe that's where my brain is. All right, somebody from Kentucky. Thanks for joining us, Lindsay.
Amanda from Anchorage.
Wow,
Hello.
we are certainly national.
Ooh, this is great.
Yeah, oh, awesome, Amanda and Julia, great. Thanks for joining. What time is it in Alaska right now? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Amanda, you'll have to tell us what time it is over there.
Probably not 1 o'clock like it is here in New York.
Yes. 9 a.m. Ooh, I like it. So look at starting off the morning right. Who needs coffee when you have our faces? No. Awesome. So thank you again so much for joining us. Some of you actually may have met me in Vegas at Wedding MBA. So if you did, it was great to see you there. If not, we're super excited that you are joining us here today, whether you are a new user or someone who is already a submissions pro and just wants to get some info about how 2 Bright Lights works and how you can make it work better for you. We're so glad that you're here. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Ivana, who's going to answer all your questions and take you through the entire album creation and then submission process. And give you some insight into how the platform works. And I will be on chat answering all of your questions, so please feel free, send them over anytime. We may answer them as soon as they come in, or wait till the end of a certain section where we can cover it so that everybody will hear the answer. So definitely send those questions in, and let's get started.
All right, this is exciting, guys. I'm going to walk you through the entire upload and submission process so that you are a pro. It'll be just 1 second. All right, so let's get started. So say you're already signed into your 2 Bright Lights account. This is the home page, and we'll go over some of the features later, but as you can see, there are some of our featured publications that you can actually submit to. We are going to start on the albums page. So when you're on the albums page, you'll be able to see all of the albums in which you've uploaded. You'll be able to see their album photos, and you'll have the ability to create a new album.
Right, so when you join as a new member, this page will be blank because you haven't created any albums, if you're a photographer. If you are on the vendor side of things, you may actually see albums that you've already been tagged in. So that can be really exciting. So now we're gonna walk through how to create an album.
Great. So you're going to click on the little plus button icon, and you actually have the ability to upload all sorts of different albums. So there are weddings, engagement, family, parties, and lifestyle. So just for example, you can see the different subcategories within those. And by tagging it as these different occasions, we can help you better match the publications that will be able to publish your features. So we're gonna actually start with weddings, and there are lots of different categories from which you can choose from. Today, we're going to choose Wedding Day. So there is a difference between a real shoot and a styled shoot. A real shoot is a real wedding with a real couple and all of their guests. A styled shoot is a little bit more inspiration-based, and we just prefer that you categorize your album as which one you shot it as. So this is where you're going to start editing the information. So you can choose a bride and a groom, and you can input their information. And then you can even include the event date. So this is important if you want to show that it might be a seasonal event, and definitely include all of the information as accurately as possible. So let's say I got married in New York. The descriptive title line is your first chance to really show editors what your album is about. So definitely include some eye-catching words that will really describe your album really quickly as possible. So fun, boho, wedding in a loft. Awesome. So the album story is your opportunity to really give your side of what happened on the wedding day or your relationship with the couple. It's also a place where you can include little details that made the wedding super special. It's kind of like your way to explain to the editor why this album should be published.
And the great part is you actually don't have to enter the information right now. It's still available for you to do it when you go in and actually send in the submission. So you can always put something in here, but if you want to think about it a little more, you can do it at a later date as well.
Very true. Thank you. So once that is edited, and I will show you again how to edit it once you are in the album, you are going to need to tag the venue and the vendors. So once we are required to tag a venue. If it is a private residence, you can mark it so right here. If not, we're going to search for it. So input the album, input the venue name, and you're going to search for it here. All right, so you have a few different options, and usually you're going to put the contact name with which you are familiar. So if I were to click 501 Union, it would populate up here in the vendor tab, and you'll be able to see all of the different vendors that you work with here. Say that there's the venue that you would like is not appearing, you actually have the ability to create that new venue so that it is accurately tagged. You can include all of the information here, and definitely be sure to include the email address, and it will populate again where the vendor tab is. You do the exact same for vendors. So you're going to search for a bakery. And we used this one. So I'm actually going to add the selected vendors, and it will populate in the tab up here. I'm actually just going to delete this and include a private residence instead, just to make things a little bit easier. Here's where you can see where you can actually email the clients a client questionnaire. This is an amazing tool that allows you to ask the couple these really intimate questions about what made their day so special. Editors love to see these personalized responses, and they often tend to use some direct quotes. Here you can input the name of someone in the couple, include their email address. You can even edit the subject line, and then you send. You'll also be notified once it is complete.
Yeah, so just give your couples a heads up before you're going to send it out to them so that they know to look out for it. But we have heard some great response from editors when they have this. It's just another step to make it even more helpful and even more likely for you to have your submission accepted, because it really eliminates the back and forth with a lot of different questions. They have most of the information right up front. Yeah, and you can also import your vendors from ShootQ if you happen to use ShootQ. So you can use that feature and select the event, and it'll import some of the vendors if you have that information in your ShootQ account. Otherwise, the client questionnaire is a great way to get that information and also ask for help determining who the vendors were on that event, because the clients can input that information as well.
Great, thanks. So we are going to move on to the next step, and this is a crucial step in the submission and upload process. So what you're going to want to do is really tag a lot of the details within the album. So let's just say I had a bunch of different fun colors at my wedding. So I had blue and pink and white. I'm also going to include a lot of different Descriptive tags. This will help our matching tool, which we will get to later, help to just see what publications would like your kind of work. So I got married in a loft. It was a casual, a little bit rustic, and it had a little bit of a whimsy touch. So you can include as many tags as you like, and we definitely encourage you to add 5 or more tags. It was a fall wedding, and you can include any of the other details you'd like. Alternative. Okay, on to the next step. So here is where your album lives. You will be able to see all of the album info by clicking on this tab right next to the couple's name, and you can actually edit everything from here as well. So if you click, sorry guys, technical difficulties, just one sec. All right, so if you click Edit Album, you have the ability to edit this information at any time you'd like. You can also add more vendors, send the client questionnaire, and even edit more tags if you'd like. It is from this part that you can actually even send the questionnaire as well. Once the questionnaire is filled out, you'll be able to see a little notice right here that takes you to the questionnaire link. So now that we have input all of the information, the next step is to input all of the images. So we know that you have a ton of images, and however you'd like to store them, we'd like to work with you. So you can upload your images from Dropbox, SmugMug, Zenfolio, Shootproof, or your PC. We highly encourage you to upload them at 200 pixels wide, just so that the publications don't need to reach out if they need high quality images. We please ask that there are no watermarks, that the image are in JPEG form, and if you have a premium account, you can upload to 150 images. A huge tip that we like to share with our submitters is that we encourage you to upload about 70% detail shots and 30% portrait shots. What that means is 70% detail shots are those photos that will inspire other couples in their wedding planning process. The portrait photos are of the bride, the groom, the guests, more personal pictures. So when you are ready, you can actually upload, choose your files, and upload straight from there. Okay.
Yeah, so we try to make it as seamless as possible if you're using one of these other photo storage services, but uploading from your PC is also just as easy. So Ivana was totally right. All of those things like the 2,000 pixels wide is really helpful. You want to give these publishers the highest quality images as you can. That way, again, eliminating the back and forth, because you never know if they're gonna need something of a certain size. So you wanna give it to them as easily as possible.
You're right.
So Julia had a question about when do vendors get notified that they've been added to an album. It actually happens after the images are uploaded. So, and you can select whether or not to notify them at that time. So that's when you'll see that. We're actually not going to go through that step on here, but you can always reach out to us if you have any questions on that. And then Cassie asked what DPI, PPI should we be using for the photos. I cannot remember that number off the top of our heads, but we can make a note. We'll follow back up with you. But we usually talk about it in terms of pixels, but we can get back to you.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions about the upload process? And you can always feel free to ask them whenever you'd like, and we can just continue.
One question Amanda had earlier was what advice on the kinds of words to include in a description if it's a styled shoot, which I wanted to make sure everybody saw that. It was a great question. Really talking about the inspiration that you had for the shoot, how you came up with the concept, or information about the other professionals you worked with, how you came together. Was there something that happened that you all had to really rally together on something that wasn't originally as planned, but it worked out even better than you could have imagined? So trying to build on those and talk about where the ideas came from. That's going to be really good information that sort of hooks the interest.
Exactly. It's just a little bit of a story to add to this beautiful styled shoot that will really make the editors want to look more into it. All right.
Yep.
So once you've uploaded images.
Yeah, we're going to go to an album that actually has images in it now, so you can see. Which one was it? This one. All right.
Okay. So once you have all of your images, you have the ability to edit the album cover. And we highly recommend that we make your album cover one of those really appealing images, something that really stands out, because that's the first image that an editor will see.
Right. So make sure it's not necessarily a portrait unless it's like amazing, but if it's something that really showcases the theme of the actual event, that's something to go with. And then just a couple other tips. Really reinforcing the 70% detail shots, 30% portraits. And don't worry, a detail shot doesn't mean literally like the shoes or just the rings. It could also mean an empty ceremony site or an empty reception hall or the details of anything going down the aisle or the altar decorations or anything like that. Anything that would inspire other couples. And in terms of portraits, it could be bridal party portraits. It could be something along the lines of, during the ceremony itself or people entering the reception, things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be all the posed portraits.
Definitely. So if you would like to edit the cover image, you can do so by clicking on the button here. If you would like to download the image, you can download individual images, or you can download a few by clicking on the check mark and then clicking on the little cloud in the blue toolbar.
Yeah, so I think now we're going to move on to how you go about submitting.
Okay, so once you're in the album, we're actually going to ask you to go to the submissions page. And the submissions page is really great because it helps you see where all of your submissions are. If you have submitted any albums, you will see it under the paper airplane. If any have been accepted, you'll see it under the check mark. If any have been published, you'll see it under the little radio sign. If you see it under the X, it means it was not a fit. That does not mean it cannot be published. It just means maybe you should try another publication. And all of them are right here. We also do include a draft section, so images that you're working on and just almost ready to submit. So we're going to go into the full view of the album. So you can actually see here the history of the album, in which you can see all of where it has been submitted, any feedback from the publications, things like that. I'm actually going to go back to the submissions page, and we're going to create a submission.
So here it allows you to just really select which album you want to work on. So that's why you're going to pick this one.
So this gives you another opportunity to look over some of the album details if you'd like to edit them quickly before you input them into the submission process. Make sure to double check the terms of service. And we're on to the matching tool. So this is a brand new feature that we're super excited about. It actually helps you to match your album to publications that are a good fit. You have the option to submit to an exclusive publication, which is a publication that prefers that the images have not been published, and they also have an exclusivity period, which needs to be respected for between 1 to 6 months. The non-exclusive publications allow you to submit to multiple at one time.
And just one thing on exclusives, don't worry, it doesn't mean that you can't publish them on your own blog. It just means that they can't have been featured on another publication before you submit to this exclusive publisher.
Correct. So we're going to choose non-exclusive for today and then hit select. So with our matching tool, you can get even more specific for the kind of publication you're looking to submit to. So you can check in on the filter menu. You can choose between print and web, show publications with requests, which we will actually hit upon later, and get even more specific about the kind of day, kind of event category you are looking to publish. Okay, so these are all non-exclusive publications. Also, just a quick little tip, if you would like to switch between non-exclusive and exclusive, you can do so right here. So I'm going to choose a few different publications. What our matching tool does is take the tags and uses an algorithm to match it to publications that are looking for that exact kind of event. The publications that we've matched your album to are listed here, and then all of our other publications are under this tab. So you can choose any kind that you'd like. So we're going to submit this to Pop Sugar, 7 centerpieces, and also note that if a publication has a little pin drop next to it, you can see where it is from. That means it's a regional publication. Baubles and Bow Ties, and Boho Weddings. All right, you can see the selected publications here on the right, and then you're going to hit Next. Here's your opportunity to really personalize your note to the editor. So if I wanted to email Tara from Pop Sugar, you know that Pop Sugar loves to feature fun-loving albums, so you can include a little note that really expresses why you think that this album is perfect for Pop Sugar. So write a little note. Click Save, and then once you are ready, you can submit. Or if you'd like to come back to this part later and you're not just sure when you're ready to submit, you can also click Save as a draft. The drafts will be stored right here. And you can always go back and then hit the Submit button, and they will be sent off to the publications.
Right, so the matching tool is really useful because we all know that there's, it's so important to do research of figuring out what publication is the right fit for your brand or for your work. So this publication tool takes into account all of the tags that you selected when you were creating the album and uses that information along with a few other things, and we like to call it magic behind the scenes, but basically then it comes up with the publications that we think are the best fit for you, but you still have complete control over where you submit to. So you don't feel like you have to use those. Those are just ones that we want to make as suggestions to you.
Correct. So we are going to move on to the next part, where we show you a few different ways in which you can edit your account and the community and request tab. But before we get to that, does anyone have any questions about the submission process?
So Julia was asking about how do you find out about the exclusivity of a publication and how do you know when the exclusivity period is over? So that's a really great question. So we're going to touch on that when we get to the community tab. That's where you'll be able to find what the time period of the exclusivity period is for each publication. But we make it really easy because Two Bright Lights will automatically alert you when that exclusivity period is over. So for example, if you got published on, let's say, theknot.com, because I just checked their community page, their exclusivity period is 3 months for when you're published online with them. So that means 3 months after that publication date, you will receive an email from Two Bright Lights that says, hooray, your album is now available for resubmission. So you still have all of the data about where it's been published previously, but you've been published once by an exclusive, and now you could submit it up to 5 non-exclusives at the same time. And all those publishers may end up featuring it. We know photographers who have been published more than 150 times in 1 year. And that's because they're very smart about using that resubmission tool and getting those same events published 5 to 10 different times. It's all about using those images to create as much longevity for that event as possible.
We also encourage you to keep the time limit from the time that it was the album was captured to the time of its publication to about 1 year, just so that the publications are featuring current trends and really featuring relevant albums to their users.
Yeah, 12 to 18 months max.
Sure.
Yeah, because trends, you're totally right. Trends change really fast, as I'm sure all of you know.
Okay, so we're going to move to the next step, which is My Account. Here you can see all of your information that you've input when you signed in. And if you would like to edit anything at any time, just click the edit button and go ahead and change it. It is also here that you will be able to get the badges that you have from the publications that you've been published on. And you can download them and include them on your website or wherever you'd like.
Yeah, we definitely recommend doing that. Prospective clients love seeing where you've been featured before they even reach out. So it's always a great hook if you can have those on your site.
For sure. And if you are a vendor, if you're a photographer, you can actually see the pending submission requests that you have from other vendors who would actually like to submit your albums. It's a great way to submit as much as possible. So you'll be able to accept submission and upload permissions right here.
Yeah, and I think we mostly have photographers on. So you'll probably get an email from whatever other vendor is looking to submit your work. It's most likely because you've already tagged them on an album. And so you'll get that email, and if for any reason you can't get to, or you click a link and it doesn't work, you can find this directly in the My Account section by clicking permissions.
So next we're actually going to move on what Megan had touched upon earlier, which was the Community tab. So this is a great feature on Bright Lights that helps you to see all of the different publications that we partnered with. You can browse all of their information and all of the different kinds of categories that we have. If you'd like to filter these, you can do so right here. And you can even filter by non-exclusive or exclusive. If we decided to filter by exclusive, you'll be able to see the exclusivity policy by clicking into the publication's profile page and clicking on their publications. Their exclusivity policy, it's a hard word to say, is featured right here. A really great part about this of the profile page is that you can actually see the kind of work that and you can kind of see if it is a good fit.
So it pays to use a couple hours, whether all at one time or over the course of a week or so, and going through all the publications and just taking a look at the types of work that they do feature and making a list or notes to yourself of which ones really fit your work. Another easy way of doing this is checking out the Instagram profiles of all of the publishers you're interested in. It's a great visual representation and also really fast. So that makes it really easy. Okay.
So you can actually, as Megan said, you can go to their Instagram right here. It's super easy so that you can really see what kind of work they're publishing. Lastly, we are going to touch upon the request page, which is a super great tool that helps you to know what publications are looking for. So if you spend some time looking through all of these different requests, you can see if you've captured a Halloween-inspired wedding or styled shoot, then this would be the place to submit for you. You can actually directly submit from the request page, or you can flag it for later. So by flagging it, it kind of sets it apart so that later you can go back and see if you have something that fits that request. Once you're on the request page, you can actually filter by the request that you would like to see. So you can filter by if you flagged it already, if it's exclusive or not, the different publications, or the category. So while we do feature a lot of weddings, we do feature senior portrait, family albums, different events. We want to make sure that all events are part of our system. So we're really working hard to help you guys see those different requests.
Yeah, and keep in mind that just because there is not a request for a particular publication doesn't mean that they aren't looking for submissions. If they show up in the list on that submission selection page, that means that they are actively sourcing submissions. These requests just have a way of helping them find more targeted submissions. While some are pretty broad, some are also very specific, like that Halloween one. So it's a great place to start, especially if you aren't sure where you want to submit to. Chances are you'll come across something that you already have an album in your account that matches. So it can make it really easy.
You can actually, if you're on the home page, you can see some of the newest request page. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see the latest requests. Additionally, you can also see the live feed of publications that have just recently featured Two Bright Lights albums. It's really great to see the different kinds of publications here, different photographers and vendors. It's a great way to see with who we're partnered with.
And Amanda just asked if the submission requests get deleted once they're fulfilled. So no, the submission requests remain active until the publisher decides to remove them, because each editor may want a different amount of submissions or features for each request. So some publishers, let's see, I want to say, oh boy, I'm trying to think of a regional one. So like Carolina Bride, they're always looking for things in the Carolinas. So they may have a submission request that says that they're looking for submissions from the Carolinas. That's something that's always going to be active. And so it really depends on the editor, and they have full control of when they can take them down.
Right. So while we've gone through a whole bunch of the different parts of the Two Bright Lights blog, we want to show you just a little bit more for your own educational fun. We update our blog very frequently with different editor spotlights and different ways in which you can master your industry. We also encourage you to check it out to see how you can improve your Instagram, or why getting published in a regional publication is super important for your business. These are little pieces of information we've learned along the way and would like to share with you. Last but not least, we have just recently added a whole YouTube channel just to help educate you on the different parts of submitting and uploading. If you go to YouTube, the Two Bright Lights account, you can find the how-to videos for photographers and vendors, where you can learn everything from how to mark an album as published, all the way down to how to edit an existing album, and even how to resubmit an album. We want to make sure that you feel super confident when you're uploading and submitting these images so that you know you can get published. At this point, we have touched upon just about everything, but we would love to help you if you have any other questions, and feel free to reach out to us also.
Turn the camera back on. We're back. Yes, so if you have any other questions, definitely feel free to send them over. So 2 other things that I wanted to suggest. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We post content of promoting people who've been featured through Two Bright Lights. So you get to see some amazing work and all the features that they're tagged in through those. We also highlight new editors, any specific submission requests, and some tips on there. So definitely follow us, and you'll probably see some of our goofy faces. Like, for example, if you went now and took a look at Insta stories, you'd see us.
I think you should check it out.
Yes. So there's that. And then I just wanted to make sure that you know that this is an open introduction. So you now know us. We hopefully can get to know you even better. So if there are ever any questions, please reach out to us at hello@2brightlights. We are here to help you. Our goal is to make you as successful as possible with your submissions. And so that's what we want to do, and we love it. We're a small team, so you will hear from one of us. And honestly, we can't wait. We love it. Even if you just want to say hi.
We are here to chat whenever you'd like to, so feel free to reach out.
All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions right now. So I guess we are going to call it an afternoon or a morning for those of us in Alaska. So anyways, oh, okay, Amanda, yes, a question. For someone who's terrible at culling, do you have any recommendations on how many images to include in an album? Yes, so you can include up to 150. For weddings, we would suggest 100 to 150, the more the merrier. But as another helpful tip, for everybody who joined the webinar today, we'll send out an email just saying, thank you for joining us, and also include a link to our shot list. So this is for weddings. It includes pretty much the breakdown of the 150 images that you should have as part of your submission. So it tells you what types of details that you need to be thinking about, as well as the portraits that you need to be thinking about. So we'll include that, and if you have any questions on that, just let us know. Okay.
All right. Happy publishing.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Thanks.